You know, it takes a lot for Sony to admit when Microsoft has done something right or when Microsoft is maybe onto something. And I think now is pretty much the perfect time for them to come out and admit that this is the case, right? Like when you look at things and when you look at how things are kind of working for Microsoft and the Xbox brand, things are going along really well. Like even I was a little skeptical of things like the Xbox Series S and Game Pass. I was very skeptical at first about Game Pass because in my mind, I go through all of these different scenarios, right? Like, how could this possibly be good for developers? How could this be good for gaming? How does this, does this mean we're going to get lower quality? Does this, it's like all these questions go off in my head. And I think that that's fine, right? Because I totally understand the part where, some people, gamers, old school gamers, kind of like me, would take that into consideration when you're thinking about these type of things, right? Like, how can they afford to do this? When is the other shoe going to drop? Like, all these questions come out, and you just kind of sit there and go, this is a little strange. How can they afford to do this? And at the end of the day, when I finally started to come around to Game Pass, I thought, well, you know what? Listen, it's not really up to me to figure out how Microsoft does this, right? It's really up to them to continue to offer the value for the fans, and if they don't, then I'm out. It's that simple. Game Pass has not stopped me from buying games. I know some people, maybe that's the case, but I still think that obviously, Game Pass is there and it has a hell of a value. I think in particular, once Microsoft's first party starts rolling out here pretty soon, then it's going to be at the most value because I buy most of Microsoft's first party anyway. And so, I think that that's going to be a good kind of one-to-one trade-off there. The other stuff is really just like an added bonus to me, but it is nice to see games in there that I wouldn't try before. I've mentioned before what I played Road 96, a little indie game. Just for some reason, I was compelled to finish that. Got all 1,000 out of 1,000 gamer score. I played As Dusk Falls. I thought that story ended up being incredible, and I've mentioned this a couple times already. I wish there would have been some gameplay instead of it just being like an interactive storybook, but what are you going to do? At the end of the day, I felt like that, a hell of a good job with the voice acting and the choices actually mattered and things like that. But one thing was, after I beat it, boom, I deleted it off my hard drive. I have no interest in going back and, kind of doing things differently or anything like that. What the story I got, the ending was pretty good, and so I had no desire to go back and change what I had already done before. So it was that type of game for me. Some games are like that where I really do enjoy them but have no desire to go back. But when it comes to Sony and them actually giving Microsoft props or admitting anything that Microsoft does is good, I find that to be refreshing. And so when Sony comes out and does that here, I'm like, okay, that's worth tipping the hat to and worth going and doing a video over. So I do want to get started on it. Also, if you guys are watching my video, please like the video, this video right here, and any that you watch, because I'm looking to get like 100 likes on all my videos. So I hope that I can continue to do that. It's not a ton of likes, but it's a start. And it really does help me out. So let's get started. It's going to be a good time. Let's go. Now, the funny thing is, I think that Sony really has kind of started to copy Microsoft in little ways. I don't want to make that sound like it's a bad thing. I think Microsoft is really more prepared for the future in what they have the ideas about and about where things are going in video games in general. But it was very interesting to see Sony kind of talk about this and to sort of, make it so obvious that Microsoft is onto something and that they wouldn't be able to easily go out there and beat it. And it's especially, I think, difficult for Sony to admit something like this because they're just so used to being the market leader and so used to doing the things that really people love in video games and video game consoles. But speaking about Xbox Game Pass, Sony actually came out and admitted that it would take several years to create a rival to Xbox Game Pass. And this, I will link the article so you guys can check it out below. Sony speaking with the regulatory body when asked about Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard answered several questions, including its thoughts on Xbox Game Pass. Sony says that over the past 5 years, Game Pass has grown to capture around 60 to 70% of the worldwide subscription services market. Xbox Game Pass in Brazil, in particular, represents 70 to 80% of PC subscription service market alone. The company believes it will take several years for a true competitor to create a rival for Game Pass, even with substantial investments. Now, Sony has says that subscription services can compete with game purchases for a one-time fee, but thinks the lower upfront cost of subscription service might be anti-competitive. This is in comparison to publishers who recoup investments in games by selling them for an upfront cost. The company thinks subscription services could harm the consumers as it could reduce the quality of games. Now, I've always thought that Sony has come out and said this because they want to, and listen, they say this, and then if you ever follow social media or PlayStation podcasts, the interesting thing about this is, the way that they kind of handle this, right? And the way that their fans handle this is they echo what Sony says. So when Sony starts making, comments about lesser quality due to subscription services, their fans and fanboys echo this, and so they try to hold that over Microsoft's head, like, oh, well, they're going to have less, quality because of this, and this. And the thing that I always stress is, how can you have less quality content and expect anybody to subscribe to it, right? Like, nobody's really come up with an answer to that, okay? And people want to look at Netflix or Disney Plus, whatever. The thing is you got to have quality stuff, man. Personally, I watch Netflix for Stranger Things specifically, right? And the quality is through the roof. Like, that's the quality there. I love it. That's the reason why I get Netflix. Okay, like Game Pass, the quality, like especially like I'm playing through Forza Horizon 5 is amazing. I thought Halo Infinite, especially at launch, was really good. Obviously, they dropped the ball later on, but I don't find the quality lacking at all. I think that it's fine. There's obviously games that Sony has that could have probably benefited from being in their subscription service day one. Something like Returnal, which sold, 300,000 copies, 500,000 copies, something like that. So it wasn't a ton, but imagine if that were in a subscription service. They could have done so much with that. And so I think that's where we start to see some of the discourse. And Sony really wants their fans to believe that quality would be there anyway. Now, I think each of us has our own idea of what quality is, and I'm not going to doubt or blow smoke and say, hey, stuff like, Horizon Forbidden West or whatever is in quality. Ratchet and Clank, I think specifically Ratchet and Clank is amazing quality. Miles Morales, great quality. Insomniac Games is absolutely killing it. But when it comes down to things, I think that, Microsoft has a lot of quality content as well, and I think that people that like to make fun of Microsoft because they had to delay their games or whatever would have made fun of Microsoft if they released rushed games as well. So really, Microsoft did the right thing. Wait for the games to be of a certain quality, to be finished, to be, something that they can be proud of. And I think that we're going to get that. And that's going to be a fantastic thing going forward, just because, I feel like at the end of the day, that's what's going to matter most, is people having quality for their bang for their buck. I don't think anybody that plays, Forza Horizon and Starfield are going to feel that those games have less quality or anything like that. I think that anything, it's going to be even more quality, because that's how you get people to subscribe. You get the word of mouth, and people are like, oh my God, did you try this game? And, I think everything kind of comes about in that such a roundabout way. So, I do think that, Sony going, well, it would take years and such an investment. It sounds to me like they're being lazy about it and they don't want to do that, which is weird to me, because if you're going to put something in your service, 6 months, a year later anyway, you're not exactly tapping out the sales there, so I think that you might as well do, what you want and what you need to do to get these things kind of facilitated in such a way to where, people are going to be more excited about your service. Like, the reason why I don't subscribe to PlayStation Plus is because, one, there's no day one games, and two, they don't have PS3 backwards compatibility natively there. That's streaming crap. So that does me no good. With that being said, like I said, I'm going to link this down below. What do you think about Sony's revelation that they can't really compete with Game Pass, and it would take years and a ton of funds to do so? Let me know. Rate, comment, subscribe. If you do enjoy the video, please leave a like. It helps it to be seen and the channel to grow. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, Crap Gamer 'em up. Thanks for watching. Crap Gamer out.